Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Duncan, and I have the Get to Know Me in 25 Questions tag today. I was very kindly tagged by AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, and the original tag was created by Maza Booktuber. So yeah, it's just exactly what it says on the tin, 25 questions. Kind of a bit more personal, less about books, but I quite like doing these tags, so let's get to it. Number one, what's your channel about? That's a good question. What is my channel about? I guess books. Sometimes we'll delve into a little bit just behind the scenes of my private life, whatever, but it's pretty much mainly about books, and right now it seems to really be dominated by crime fiction, but I hope to be expanding a little bit just to keep everyone interested. I know there's not many people who read crime fiction, especially the kind of crime fiction that I read, so yeah, I like to read a bit more biography, history, general fiction kind of thing, so look out for that. Number two, how old are you? I am 37. Number three, what's your relationship status? I'm married, very happily married. Have been for 7 years now. Number four, did you go to college or occupation? So I went to college for a year and then I dropped out. Then I joined the Royal Mail and was a postman for 10 years in Dundee. And then I met my wife and I kind of went traveling. Came to Canada, and I've done a few jobs since being here. I've been here for 5 years now, and I currently am a mill operator for a feed mill, and it's literally just down the road. It's quite handy. I get to walk to work every day, which is quite the anomaly in Canada, especially when you live out in the rural town. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's hard work. It's long hours, and I work 6 days a week. But hopefully get some time off sometime soon, and yeah, start enjoying my life a bit more. Number five, where are you from? Where do you live? So I was born in Crewe in England, and which is kind of northwest near Manchester. I grew up in Devizes in Wiltshire, which is southwest, West Country, and then moved to Leinster in Herefordshire for 3 years before moving to Dundee to go to the University of Dundee. And I ended up living in Dundee for I think it was 11 years, and then I travelled a little bit, kind of basically spent a year and a half in Barcelona, and I now live in Ontario in Canada, Eastern Ontario. I'm kind of just in between Kingston and Ottawa. It's called the Rideau Lakes. It's kind of a cottage country kind of vibe, but yeah, there's quite a few people who live here all year round. It's not completely dominated by cottages. It's really nice. They're quite quiet. Number six, looking back, what would you have told your 10-year-old self? I mean, hang in there, have some fun. I don't know. I can't really remember what I was like at 10. Yeah, it's all gonna be alright. Number seven, tell us about your family. So I have parents, 2 sisters. I'm the youngest. I have a wife. I have a sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and 2 nieces, and my parents-in-law as well. And then I have quite the extended family. My mum was 1 of 8, and a fair number of her siblings had 3 children as well. So Lots of cousins, and now most of my cousins have kids, so there's a bunch of there's a bunch of people I have never met actually. One of my cousins I didn't meet until she was 18, and there's a bunch of my cousins' kids that I haven't ever met, and I haven't really seen a lot of my aunties, uncles, and cousins for a long time. Number 8, what's your favorite holiday? I'm guessing this is the North American sense of holiday. So I'm just gonna be a little bit facetious and say May 1st, International Workers' Day. Number 9, you have no budget. What is your dream vacation? I'm not, even though I've traveled a little bit, I'm not a huge vacation person. I'm a bit of a homebody these days, but I mean, it's always nice to go back to the UK. Been back for 5 years now. Yeah, but I basically haven't been back since I moved here. I went back briefly before I applied for permanent residency, but I haven't been back since I put my application in. But I think my dream vacation right now would just be a road trip across Canada. That way I could take my dog along with me too. I wouldn't really want to be away from him for too long. Pretty much very attached to him, and I like to spend as much time, especially when he's in his prime, and I'm fairly much in my prime still. I think that's the best time to kind of spend together. So yeah, I'd say just a road trip across Canada with like a camper van. Number 10, name your biggest pet peeves. I think that's probably too many to mention. Yeah, like I don't really want to get too personal in the sense that I don't know, things just wind me up. I think yeah, I mean, a lot of them are just kind of my own little hang-ups about how people act. I think maybe one of my biggest pet peeves is an invasion of personal space. I kind of don't like people to get too near me, and even this is all before COVID as well. So like I always hated when you meet someone, or even if you know someone, and they kind of go in for the hug. And it's like I don't hug everybody. I don't hug most people. So yeah, just back away. I had this teacher at school who used to get right in your face whenever he was speaking to you, just like regularly, like not even aggressively. Just he had to be like right up close to you, and whenever he did that, I always used to make a big point of just like taking a step back. It's just unnecessary. Number 11, what book changed your life? I don't really think a book has changed my life. Yeah, I think probably Christopher Burtmeyer's, can't remember which book it was now, but reading him probably changed my reading a little bit into the more crime, and obviously reading things like Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett like kind of steered it into more vintage crime kind of reading. But I was already a big fan of film noir, and so I think I probably would have gone that way anyway without reading them necessarily. And yeah, I don't think any book has really been that life changing. That's just not why I read. I read more for pleasure and for information. Yeah, I don't think a book has really changed my outlook on life in a majorly drastic way. I would say music would probably, there's lots of music has probably changed my life way more. But that's just the way I am, I guess. I'm maybe a bit of an anomaly on BookTube, but maybe books aren't the sole greatest love of my life, and that probably probably not my number one hobby or outlet in life per se. But it's the one I probably like talking about the most. I think it's the easiest to talk about. I think it's quite hard to talk about music all the time, and yeah, just this kind of music and movie channels are a little bit different to the booktube, and I always loved talking about books. I always loved listening to people talk about books. I don't know why it is, but it's much more. There's just something a little bit more personal about it, I think, and I think maybe because I don't. I'm a little bit more open. I'll read anything. I get a little bit more passionate about music. I'm not a snob, or I'm not totally fixated on like weird stuff, but I do. People can be a bit weird with music when you talk about, and especially if you name a lot of stuff that they haven't heard of. But yeah, I was just thinking it's a lot easier to talk about books. But I didn't really talk about books that much to people. It's just really on BookTube. What simple invention improved the world? I know AJ got caught up with this. They said the internet and then said, oh, simple invention. So I don't really understand what they mean by simple invention. But possibly, two of the greatest inventions in the world is probably the printing press, which enabled information to be disseminated at a much, much quicker and wider rate, and then obviously the improvements of it became more and more cheaper, which meant more and more people had access to the written word, which is it's not just literature, but it's ideas, it's facts, it's science, and it's engineering, mathematics. And then the other is probably penicillin, which just made which was just revolutionary in public health. Favorite movies, TV shows. Favorite movies, there's so many to mention. I love the classics: Casablanca, Big Sleep, Harvey, the great James Stewart movie that's always getting played at Christmas. TV shows. My favorite TV show of all time is probably Spaced, followed very shortly by Buffy. And then from my adolescence, I loved The Lone Ranger and Get Smart and Inspector Gadget, which was basically the kid version of Get Smart. Batman and Robin, or Batman TV series from the 60s. The A-Team, just all really kind of classic stuff. Modern day movies. I don't tend to watch a lot of movies these days, but I used to go to the cinema like pretty much almost every day. I'd see between 100 and 300 movies a year. Just trying to think of a modern. I watched Gunpowder Milkshake the other day. That was very good. With Karen Gillan. That was really good fun, actually. I would recommend that. I think it's on Netflix. Number 14. Describe yourself using 3 fictional characters. I don't know. Arturo Bandini, maybe, especially from Wait Until Spring Bandini. It's more of like it's about 13 in that. He's got some kind of trends that I had when I was that age. Not really sure. I don't really read a lot of characters that I relate to. Oh, I mean, Kathy from Crudo by Olivia Lang. I'm reading that right now, and I kind of see myself a little bit in that. But I'm maybe not quite as solitudinous. And I definitely am not in an open relationship. I can't think of another one. Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard question. Number 15, what was your dream job? Professional athlete, any sport. I've watched all of them, I loved all of them. If I could have probably picked one, it would have been American football, gridiron. But basically any sport, any professional levels, but I would have been super happy. I was never particularly that good. I was alright, but I was never good enough to get anywhere close to professionalism. If magic was real, what spell would you learn first? That's a weird question. I don't know what, like, you just invent a spell. I don't know. What's the easiest one? That's, isn't that where you learn first? Especially in, if I think back to movies and literature where magic is real. If you try to get in too deep, too quickly, it always goes wrong. Just trying to think of maybe like Willow from Buffy, where I had to start pretty small, and then even then it went really, really wrong. Number 17, share a favourite childhood memory. I don't really look back on my childhood too much, so I can't really think of a childhood memory to share. I don't really have any particularly good stories from my childhood. Not like a depressing way, but just like nothing exciting happened. I grew up in the country. Nothing particularly exciting happened, and I can't really think of a particularly great moment that you don't want to hear about. Number 18, what is your favourite social media platform like? Well, it's definitely YouTube. I watch YouTube all the time. It's got anything and everything you want. It's one of the greatest things to happen to media in general. It's you could basically, anyone can just start a channel. The amount of variety, the amount of information that you can gain. If I ever want to fix anything now, I just go to YouTube, and there's somebody there that's explaining how to fix it, and quite often than not, they're expert in their field. You can find anything on YouTube, pretty much. It's incredible. If you could pick any book character, who would you spend the day with? I don't think I'd want to spend any time with any book character. First off, I think they'd be a little bit two-dimensional. What's your number 20? What's your spirit animal? I don't really like to answer these questions. It's a bit disrespectful to cultures that have spirit animals. It's quite a deeply sacred thing. It's a deeply sacred practice or culture, like tradition that they have. So it's not really something just to be taken lightly. So I didn't like to answer those. Number 21, what old person thing do you do? I pretty much groan every time I bend down or bend up or come back up to pick something up. That's probably about the oldest thing that I do. Number 22, do you have any hidden talents? I don't have any talents whatsoever, hidden or otherwise. Number 23, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Probably right here, hopefully. It's pretty much, we bought this as a forever home, so I will probably still be out in the garden, mowing and weeding and fixing the house or whatever, and digging up beds and planting and all that fun stuff. Number 24, share an item and tell us its significance. I mean, all of these all of these records are very significant, and one of the most significant things in my life. I could probably just pick anything from here. I'll just pick this one, Euros Chills. What's the album called? It's very good. It's called Situation Comedy. He played Dundee on the last night that I was living there. I DJ'd, my good friend Andy put him on. I DJ'd and he played. I DJ'd between the sets. He played and I pulled up the record. I packed up. I went home and I went down to the train station, got on the train, and that was the end of my life in Dundee as a resident. I think I've been back twice since. But yeah, that was the last thing I did in Dundee as someone living there. So yeah, it's a great album though. Tested that. That's a great song. Maybe I'll leave a link down below. There you go. That's significant. And what's the last question? I think it's the last one. Number 25. Now tag some people. I'm always terrible at this. I never have a list beforehand. I always forget. And because this has got a slight, personal nature, I'll just, if you want to do this, go ahead. Otherwise, I will just leave this tagless, untagged. So yeah, just if you haven't done it, if you want to do it. Otherwise, I will leave you all to it. So bye.